Welcome, my name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. This is our final card for this week's stamp set of the week, Petals of Beauty. We're going to focus on the dies, and as it's Friday we're going to do a funky fold. So let me show you what we're going to create. So it comes, I just wanted to show you that it does actually fit into an envelope and it packs flat like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bend this one over and this one over, attach, and it becomes this pyramid, which is very difficult to show you on a video. So it looks like that. And it has 3 sides, 1, 2, 3, yeah. And it's referred to as a pyramid card, I suppose, because it looks like a pyramid. So let's bring in our supplies and we can create our version together. So the first thing we're going to need are the following. I have got 3 pieces of early espresso and each one of these measures 4 by 4. I then have a white piece of cardstock. This measures 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. I've only got one of those. I have 2 pieces of designer series paper. As you can see, they're both the same size, same piece. I've just turned one over. So I'm using both sides. These are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and this comes from the Gathering Together suite. We used the designer series paper on Monday, I believe. And I've also got a 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 of an inch sentiment strip, and I have a Velcro dot, so front and back Velcro dot. These are quite easy to pick up from Amazon. And I only need 1 pair, so let's do that. Cut that off, and the others I can use for a later date. The reason I had them on the strip was because I didn't want to lose them. I figured between now and making the video it would somewhere have disappeared. So let's do what we need to do first of all. As I normally like to do the stamping. So let's do that. I've got the happy birthday sentiment and I'm using early espresso. Okay, bring that over and let's stamp the sentiment. Happy birthday. Okay. We are also going to need our focal point, which are these beautiful dies. Let me show you the dies. Bring those out. Still worried I'm going to lose that Velcro. Right, okay, so what I've used is this long die here, as you can see. Cuts out beautifully. Then I have this one, which is a closed-in version, which is the die for there. Then I've got this wiggly one, which is for this die, like so. Then I have cut 2 out. Now, I'm only going to use 1, but I couldn't decide on the colour frame. I've used the colours from the designer series paper. So we've got Crushed Curry and Calypso, no, not Calypso, Cajun Craze. So both of these have been cut out from, put it this way, cut out from our die here. And then both of these have been cut out from our die over here. Okay, so you can see that you've got these 2 here are for the smaller version. Then you've got a smaller version, 3 pods of this one. And then you've got a variegated leaf here. Okay, so those are the dies that we have used for this. Probably may not use all of them, but I cut them out because I wanted to make sure that I had enough. The greenery is in Garden Green. Right, let's put those aside. So we now have all our die pieces cut out, and we're going to bring in our designer series paper and cardstock. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to score the cardstock in half, diagonally in half. That's scoring. So top right, bottom left, down the runner, put that down, and then I'm just going to run score and again. Okay, and I'm going to do that on all three. So that's 1, 2. What I'm using is the ball on my Take a Pick, which creates that wonderful score line for me. Okay, there. Now we're going to cut. So we're going to take our designer series paper and we are going to cut in half. So top right, bottom left. Generally what I do is I put the blade somewhere in the middle. I don't want to run off the point as a first. I want it to go second. So straight down, straight up. So there's that point. Stops the crumpling of this end. I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. So top right, bottom left. Straight down. And then we're going to do exactly the same with our piece of white cardstock. And we're going to cut that one in half as well. Okay, so there we go. So the first thing we need to do is to fold all 3 score lines on our early espresso. So I'm going to fold them in half. 1, 2, give them a really good score. Like so. Now, these are all square, but the first one we want to turn to a diagonal so that the score line runs from top to bottom. Okay, so you've got a diagonal. Now you need to have a square, and you need to make sure that this score line that you've just scored runs along the side of the diamond that we've created. So this piece will go into here like so. And then we're going to do exactly the same with this piece, which will fit in like so. And you'll have the score line visible down the middle here. For when you fold it, it will help. You see as it creates our pyramid. Okay, so let's go over that again. So score line vertically, top to bottom. So this square is a diagonal. We're then going to bring in our square. It's going to lay square. Okay, like so. But we need the diagonal score line to go, to be able to be wrapped over the side of the card like so. All right. So what you could do is take a pencil, put your card straight. And if I do that up to there and that up to there, I've got some sort of go there. Take a pencil and score it on the bottom. Then you know that this piece is where you're going to be putting your glue. And don't want to cover your glue down here, so I'm just going to go over the edge when I didn't mean to. Right, so flat down like so, making sure that the score line is over the edge, and you can still fold this piece. You've done that, you can then burnish with your bone folder. Okay, you're going to do exactly the same with the next piece. So it's back to the triangle, that's square. Take your square, run it across the line, make sure it's straight. Taking your pencil mark, you can run it across, oops, not across there, but across there. So again, you now know that this piece, hopefully you can see, that there is just a score line just along here. Okay, we're going to put the glue. Okay, and then that is going to fit squarely over, but not touching the middle score line because we want to be able to fold it. If you fold it and you move, you know you've gone too close to the score line in the middle. Okay, now as you can see, I've done a little bit too much of the old glue, but I'm going to let that dry, and then what I will do is I will go over it with my glue rubber and remove it. So we now have a odd shaped square. We're going to flip it over like so. Maybe, yeah, there we go. I'm going to flip it over like so, and what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 pieces of paper here and 2 pieces of designer series paper here, and we're going to fold it back on itself like that. Okay, so that these legs are hidden behind here. Right, so let's find our designer series paper. So I've got 2 to go here and 2 to go here. So the question is, okay, these are the pieces I want to use for my triangle. Bear with me for a second. I just want to make sure that I'm sticking it the right way. So when it comes around to the triangle, it's going to be upside down. There. That will go way over there, like that. And that will come in like that. Okay. So there we go. Right, so let's do our glue. That's going to go down there. And then that piece is going to go down here. Woo. And then these 2 pieces will fit inside here like that. So glue's on this side this time. There we go. You want that. Straight down. Right, and then we're going to do exactly the same on here. Yep, that's going to go onto there like so. Okay, we're now going to flip this over, and we need the white pieces to go on here, but you'll see that they won't fit in because we actually need them to go on the right square and the left square, so they will be reversed. So we'll put the glue. Don't need you, thank you very much. Come on, thank you. Okay, so that one is now going to go into there like so, and then this one will go on here. Now this is where you can write your greeting and your message, okay, because it will come in on itself and it will be hidden. All right. Okay, so the next thing to do is to fold our burnished lines back on themselves like this and work out which is going into. So that's going to go into there. So this is our where the popper goes. So take your popper. Okay, I knew I'd do this. Where have I put it? There it is. It's hiding. Right. So you're going to take your popper, peel off the backing where the glue is, she says, and you're going to stick it to the corner of this point here. You're going to take off the sticker on here, leaving the glue on that side. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to bring this one over on itself, like so. Hold it for a couple of seconds, and that will seal it for your pyramid. Okay, so that'll give you your pyramid. Now this is your front piece, and when you want to do it, you very carefully the first time just unroll it, and then when you pack it, you can pack it that way in your envelope. So for the time being, we're just going to add the glue, close the Velcro. Now we're going to add our bling, or our focal image. Now you've got two options. You can do it while you're sitting out this way, or you can do it that way. You must know that that is your top. Okay, so you've got that is your top and your flower. So I can do a green background. No, that's not green, is it? That's Cajun Grace. Oh dear. This is a green, but that could go up like that. With that in the middle, we could then bring the yellow over, like so. We've got the greenery, so we don't need to use the other greenery. And then we need to make sure we've got enough room for our sentiment. So let's move that slightly up here. Put our sentiment in. Okay. So I think the first thing to do really is to stick our sentiment down. Okay, I think that may have at last run out. Put it back on. Bring in my next one. Here we go. There we are. Now I know that's where the sentiment's going to go, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to create my middle, and to do as I said before, I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back here. Oh, she said a bit of glue. And then I'm going to place that over my flower. There. That's quite, it's a bit gluey there, but again, glue rubber will take that off. Okay, now let's do the same with this one so that we can compare. There we are. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that way. There we go. Okay, so we now have two flowers that we can put over the top, and we've got our green thing. But I am going to close it because I want to just double check that if I put my green leaf up there, it will fit into the envelope. So it could just slip underneath there, or I could cut it off. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to rest it into there for a second. Now what I want to do is see if I prefer that flower or put it there for a second. If I prefer that flower. Do you know what? I think I prefer the yellow. We can get rid of that one. And then that will go onto there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a dimensional. So let's put that there for a second. Let's put my dimensionals on the back of that. I'm going to put two. One there. And one there. Okay. Now this will help to keep our leaf down because I don't want loads of glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it there. And then I'm going to pop my flower there. Oh, there, that will hold my leaf. Now I've got two options. I can either poke it underneath or I could just give it a trim, which is probably what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to trim it there. Okay. Now we've got our antique pearls again. They come in very handy. And we're going to add the big ones to the middle of our flowers. So one there. One down the bottom here. And then probably one at the top. One there. So there is our pyramid card. Let's do it that way. So you can see both of these now. They are beautiful pyramid cards. Look at that. They're pretty. So that is our funky fold today. I hope you liked those. As I say, they're great fun to create. A bit difficult to show you on video because if I stand them up so you can see them, they're going to look like that. But at least you can see the design. I will take photographs and you will see those at the end of the video. So thank you ever so much for joining me this week. I hope you liked all the cards we've created and especially today's card for the funky fold. We'll be back next week with a new stamp set. So do join me then. Take care. Bye.